I know the exact moment my body stopped working, because everything went quiet before anyone touched me. Not darkness, not sleep, just silence, like a room where all the machines shut off at once. I was 14 years old, and my heart had already decided to quit before the adults around me noticed. People say you don't know when you die. That's not true. I knew something had ended. I just didn't know it was supposed to be permanent. My name is Nick Gelberton. I was a normal kid. Skinny. Always cold. The kind of boy teachers forgot about unless I caused trouble, which I didn't. When I came back, they said I'd been gone for a little over 4 minutes. Long enough for my lips to turn blue. Long enough for my mother to start screaming my name in a way I'd never heard before. What stayed with me wasn't the fear. It was the shaking. Even after my eyes opened, my hands wouldn't stop trembling. The doctors thought it was shock. It wasn't. My body was trying to catch up to something my mind had already seen. I didn't see tunnels or floating lights at first. I didn't feel peace. The first thing I felt was certainty. A heavy, steady knowing that whatever was happening wasn't a dream and wasn't meant just for me. I remember thinking, very clearly, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. Not in a dramatic way. Just like noticing you're standing in the wrong classroom. I didn't want to go back. Not because I was brave. Because I understood, suddenly, that going back would mean forgetting parts of what I was about to see. And I didn't want to lose it. That was the last normal thought I had. Before that day, my life was small and predictable. School, homework I rushed through, video games with the sound low so my mom wouldn't yell. I worried about stupid things. Whether people liked me, whether I looked weird when I ran, whether I'd ever be good at anything. I wasn't sick in any obvious way. No warnings. No hospital visits. I just got tired easily. Sometimes my chest felt tight, like someone pressing a fist into me for a few seconds, then letting go. I never told anyone. I didn't want attention. I didn't want to be dramatic. My family wasn't religious. We didn't talk about God at dinner. Jesus was a name I heard at Christmas or when someone was angry. I thought death was something far away, for old people or accidents on the news. The day it happened started like every other. I complained about getting up, burned my toast, missed the bus and had to walk. I remember being annoyed about it, counting cracks in the sidewalk, thinking about nothing important at all. At school, everything felt slightly off. Not scary, just duller. Sounds felt farther away, like my ears were full of water. In class, my vision blurred for a second, then came back. I told myself I was just tired. During lunch, I didn't feel hungry. I sat with my friends and barely spoke. Someone made a joke, and everyone laughed. I remember watching their mouths move and thinking how strange it was that life kept going no matter what you felt inside. If I had known that was the last normal hour of my life, I don't think I would have done anything different. That's what scares me now. It happened during gym class. No build-up, no warning. 1 second I was jogging across the floor, the squeak of sneakers echoing. The next my legs stopped responding. It felt like the signal from my brain just didn't arrive. I didn't trip. I folded. The floor came up fast, then disappeared. There was a sharp pressure in my chest. Not pain, just force. Like something closing from the inside. I remember trying to breathe and realizing my lungs weren't listening either. Sounds stretched out. Someone yelled my name, but it came from far away, like through a tunnel. My vision narrowed until there was only a dim circle left, and inside it, the ceiling lights blurred together. I thought, this is embarrassing. That was my last thought as a living person. Then everything stopped at once. No weight, no noise, no heartbeat pounding in my ears. Just stillness. Not empty, not full, neutral. I was aware without effort. I didn't feel my body anymore, but I knew exactly where it was. Below me, on the floor. I could sense the cold of the gym tiles without touching them. People rushed in. A whistle, shoes sliding, someone kneeling. I watched a teacher press on my chest, counting under his breath. I knew what he was doing, but it didn't concern me. It felt like watching someone work on a machine that no longer belonged to me. Time didn't move normally. Moments stacked instead of passing. And somewhere in that silence, I felt it. A presence. Not visible, not speaking, just there. And the instant I became aware of it, I understood that what was coming next would change everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what waits after both. I realized I was no longer inside myself when I noticed how small my body looked. It was strange. I recognized it instantly, but it didn't feel like me anymore. It felt like clothing I had already taken off. I was above it, not floating dramatically, just positioned higher, like standing on a stair and looking down. I could see the way my arm lay twisted, the red marks spreading on my neck, the way my chest didn't move no matter how hard the teacher pushed. What shocked me most was how calm I was. No panic, no urge to scream. I understood what was happening without being told. My body had stopped. I hadn't. I could see everything clearly, sharper than normal vision. Colors felt deeper. Movements felt intentional, even frantic ones. I noticed details I would have missed before. A loose shoelace, sweat dripping from someone's forehead, the exact crack in the gym floor running under my shoulder. I heard my mother's voice before I saw her. She wasn't supposed to be there yet, but somehow I heard her crying my name from far away. Not in the room, somewhere else. The sound passed through me instead of into my ears. I tried to respond. I didn't have a mouth. The thought itself felt enough, but it didn't travel. Then I felt myself being pulled. Not grabbed, not forced. Just guided, like stepping onto a moving walkway you didn't notice at first. The gym faded, not by disappearing, but by becoming unimportant. I remember thinking, so this is what death actually feels like. Not darkness, not fear. Awareness without weight. That's when I sensed him more clearly. Still unseen, still silent, but closer now. And somehow, I knew I was about to be shown things I wouldn't be able to explain later, even if I tried. The space around me changed without moving. One moment there was distance, the next there wasn't. I wasn't traveling. The place itself shifted. I felt him before I saw him. A presence so steady it felt like gravity. Not heavy, grounded. Everything else seemed fragile next to it. When I finally looked up, he was there. Not glowing, not surrounded by light. Just standing, solid and real, closer than anyone had ever been to me. I didn't need to ask who he was. The knowing arrived instantly, deeper than thought. Jesus. His eyes were what stopped me. Not because they were kind, though they were. Not because they were intense. It was because when he looked at me, nothing in me could hide. Not my thoughts, not my fear, not the things I didn't even know about myself yet. I expected judgment. I felt none. I expected words. There were none. Instead, he placed his hand near my chest. Not touching, just close enough that I felt warmth spread through me, steadying the shaking I hadn't realized I still had. Images began forming around us, not like screens, but like reality unfolding. I didn't choose to see them. They arrived on their own. I understood that this wasn't comfort. This was preparation. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. His expression was serious, almost careful, like someone about to show a child something dangerous but necessary. I felt safe, completely, and at the same time, I felt exposed in a way that made me want to look away. That's when I realized something important. Everything I thought I knew about him was wrong. I had always thought belief was about rules, about being good enough, about choosing the right side so you wouldn't end up punished later. I thought God watched from far away, keeping score. That idea collapsed instantly. Jesus didn't ask me what I believed. He showed me what I assumed. I saw moments from my life, not dramatic ones, small ones. Times I ignored someone, times I lied to avoid trouble, times I felt jealous and pretended I didn't. They appeared briefly, then faded. What shocked me was what wasn't there. No list, no balance sheet, no anger attached to them. Then I was shown something else. A version of myself I didn't recognize. Older, confident, successful by every normal measure. People admired him. He smiled often. He looked fine. And he was empty. Not sad. Not broken. Hollow. Like a house staged for photos, but never lived in. I felt the emptiness as if it were my own. It hurt more than fear ever had. Without words, I understood the correction. Life wasn't about avoiding punishment. It was about alignment. About what you grow into when no one is watching. I realized how often I had chosen comfort over truth. How easy it was to look fine while drifting away from what mattered. Jesus didn't explain this. He didn't need to. The understanding settled into me like a weight I couldn't drop. And then the scene shifted again. Two paths appeared ahead of me, clear and separate. And I knew I was about to see what choice really meant. The ground beneath me opened into two paths without warning. They weren't labeled. No signs. No explanations. Just two clear directions, stretching forward. The first path was wide and smooth. It felt familiar the moment I looked at it. People walked along it easily, barely noticing they were moving. They talked, laughed, checked things in their hands I couldn't see clearly. The path curved gently, disappearing into a bright distance. Nothing about it felt dangerous. The second path was narrower, uneven, quiet. No crowd, no noise. It didn't look dramatic or heroic, just honest. It went straight ahead and faded into something I couldn't fully see. I felt pulled toward the wide one, not because I wanted it, but because it required nothing from me. No effort, no resistance, just stepping forward and letting it carry me. As I watched, I noticed something unsettling. People on that path didn't look unhappy. They looked comfortable, relaxed, busy, but none of them were looking up. Not once. Their eyes stayed fixed ahead or downward. On the narrow path, there were fewer people. Some walked slowly. Some stopped often. A few turned back. But every single one of them looked awake, present, like they were aware of each step. I understood the choice without being told. One path didn't lead to obvious ruin. It led to slow forgetting. The other didn't promise safety. It promised truth. Jesus stood beside me, silent. He didn't point. He didn't guide my feet. The choice wasn't about where the paths ended. It was about who I would become while walking. The scene shifted again, smoothly, like turning your head and realizing you're somewhere else. I was standing inside a place that felt warm and secure. Soft light, clean surfaces, everything arranged perfectly. It reminded me of a home, but not one anyone actually lived in. People were there, sitting comfortably, smiling, talking about plans, achievements, future goals. Their voices blended together into a low hum, pleasant and steady. At first, it felt safe, reassuring, like this was what life was supposed to be. Stability, control, predictability. Then I noticed the walls. They were thin, too thin, and behind them, something pressed outward. Not violently, just constantly, like water behind a dam. I walked closer to one wall and placed my hand near it. I felt nothing at first, then a faint vibration. A quiet tension that never released. The people didn't notice. Or they did, but chose not to. They leaned deeper into comfort. Softer chairs, louder conversations, anything to avoid listening. I realized the safety here wasn't real. It was borrowed, temporary, built on ignoring what couldn't be controlled. The worst part wasn't the collapse I sensed coming. It was the emptiness underneath all the comfort. The way everything here distracted but never filled. I felt a deep sadness, not for myself, but for how easy it was to stay here forever without realizing anything was missing. Then the room faded. I was shown faces next. Familiar ones. Friends. Teachers. Strangers. Even my own. Each face appeared calm, confident, normal. Some looked successful. Some looked kind. Some looked strong. Then, without warning, each of them came. Not violent. Gently, like lifting a mask that had been worn from me. Behind the faces were innocence. Fear hidden behind smiles. Pride disguised as confidence. Loneliness buried in their eyes. A few held quiet integrity, unnoticed by anyone else. What shocked me was how little the outside was. I saw how often the world rewards appearance. How easy it is to look well while living well. How rarely anyone is asked to be honest instead of impressive. Then I saw myself here, not as a box, as something deeper. And I understood that nothing I showed the world mattered or didn't match what I carried. Jesus finally looked directly at me. No words, just a steady gaze. I felt the contrast clearly now. Outer life could be polished endlessly. Inner truth could only be faced or avoided. And time, I realized, was the one thing quietly running out. The pressure didn't come from fear. It came from knowing how little time people waste before noticing what actually matters. The sense of time returned, but it was different from before. It wasn't measured in minutes or years. It felt like weight, like something constantly pressing forward, never stopping, never slowing. I saw moments slipping past people without them noticing. Opportunities to speak honestly, to stop pretending, to choose differently. They passed like doors quietly closing, one after another, while people stood distracted, convinced there would always be another chance. There was no countdown. No numbers. Just urgency. I felt it clearly then. Life wasn't fragile because it could end suddenly. It was fragile because it was constantly being spent, often without intention. I saw how people delayed what mattered most, how they planned to change later, how they waited for better timing, more certainty, less risk, and how often later never came. Jesus didn't warn me with fear. He didn't show disaster. He showed delay, and somehow that was worse. The pressure came from understanding that awareness itself was a gift with an expiration I couldn't see, that once it faded, comfort would quickly fill the space where truth had been. I felt a quiet grief for the world. Not dramatic, just heavy. like watching someone sleep through something important. And then I felt something else beneath it. A pull. Strong. Sudden. Unwanted. The pull became force. Not painful, but disorienting. Like being shoved backward into something too small. I resisted. Not with words, but with everything I was. I didn't want to leave. I didn't feel finished. The presence around me didn't change. No disappointment. No urgency. Just acceptance. Then sensation crashed in all at once. Weight. Cold. Pain. Air burning my lungs. A violent gasp that tore through my chest like it didn't belong to me. My body jerked hard, dragging me down into it. Sound exploded back. Shouting. Crying. Someone yelling for a stretcher. My vision flickered, then focused on the ceiling lights I had seen before. My hands shook uncontrollably. My teeth chattered, even though I wasn't cold. I tried to speak and couldn't. I felt wrong inside myself. Like I had been folded improperly. My mother's face appeared above me, twisted with relief and terror. She grabbed my hand like she was afraid I'd disappear again. I wanted to tell her everything. I couldn't. The words stayed trapped somewhere deeper, tangled with a memory that was already starting to blur at the edges. I knew then that returning meant losing clarity. And that loss hurt more than dying. I've had years to sit with this, and it still hasn't settled into something simple. People expect a clear lesson or a clean conclusion. I don't have one. What I have is a permanent awareness that never fully leaves, even when I wish it would. After I came back, everyone focused on my body. Tests. Scans. Explanations. They wanted a reason they could write down. I played along, nodded, answered questions. But inside, something had shifted out of place and never quite returned. What changed wasn't my fear of dying. It was my patience for pretending. I noticed things now that I didn't before. How often people talk without saying anything. How quickly we rush past moments that quietly ask for honesty. How easy it is to build a life that looks solid while something essential inside slowly thins out. I'm not better than anyone because of this. If anything, it made me more aware of my own weakness. I still want comfort. I still avoid hard conversations. I still distract myself when silence feels too close. Knowing doesn't make it easy. Sometimes it makes it heavier. What unsettles me most is how normal everything feels afterward. Bills still arrive. School continues. People laugh at the same jokes. Life doesn't pause to acknowledge that something deep was revealed to you and then partially taken back. That's where the urgency lives. Not in fear. Not in threats. In the quiet truth that attention is limited, and we spend most of it on things that don't follow us very far. I don't know exactly what happens after death in a way I could map out for you. I only know that whatever waits there doesn't start there. It starts here, in what we choose to notice, in what we keep avoiding, in what we tell ourselves we'll face later. I'm still learning how to live with that, and I think most people sense it too, even if they never talk about it.